Okay, so let me first tell you a little bit about my experience. So I've kind of been working with people of all different levels. You know, I've been last 13 years, I've been sitting on the admission panels of MBAs for ISB, people coming in to join. I've been obviously teaching at ISB and a lot of other MBA colleges for the last few years. Then I do a lot of management training programs, Hindustan Lever's last 7 years, first-time managers, mid-level high potentials, which is where I do most of my work, 8 to 15 years. And then I individually coach, you know, CEOs and high senior managers, etc. So I've had the opportunity to see people at different levels of that life cycle, as it were. And one of the things I've noticed is at each level, there's a transition. You need to do something different to move to the next level. And it's fairly easy when you're doing it at the lower levels. From manager to leadership, it's quite a difficult transition. You need to almost change the way you look at the world to make that transition. So let me first explain what I see as the difference between management and leadership, why you need to look at it differently, and then why people get stuck in that transition, and some warning signs that you can look out saying, if I'm doing this, I'm probably thinking like a manager. So what do managers do? They're really the link between senior leadership, top guys, and the guys who are executing, you know, the last mile, right? And so a lot of the work they're getting is taking this targets and strategic initiatives that have been given to them. Okay, now how do I execute that? I delegate it to other people. So I pass it on, say, you need to do this, you need to do this. Then what I do is I get updates from people saying, are you doing this? And I pass it back to my boss saying, this is what's happening, and give them the update. So it's kind of like an in-between mechanism between the top and the junior levels, right? It's very different at the top level. At the top level, what you are doing is making the decisions on the strategic initiatives, and you are deciding the targets. And so the big difference between leadership and management is a lot of the decisions get taken over here, a lot of the execution of those decisions come over here. And so the big transition that managers need to make when they're going to leadership is taking decisions. And this really freaks out a lot of managers. And the reason it freaks it out is because how they've got from, you know, high potential individual contributor to manager is not making any mistakes. You tell me what to do, I will do what you tell me to do, and if I have done what you told me to do, well, then I've done my job. And so it's really about not making a mistake, not failing, not doing anything incorrect, and there is a right answer, and I'm going to do it flawlessly without making mistakes. Whereas at the top level, it's not about doing it the right way. Nobody cares at the CEO what internal processes is implemented, etc. It's like, what are the results here? What is the new business? So leadership is about creation, and managing is about maintenance, right? I'll tell you, so when people are asked to make decisions at the managerial level, they really freak out, right? And as my work as a coach, I really have to work with people very hard on them not freaking out and making decisions. I'll just give you a very simple example I heard at an HR conference recently. It was for a financial company, and the senior leadership decided, okay, you know what, it's too formal, the culture is too formal, let people decide what they want to wear. Right? And they said, hey, listen, you wear whatever you feel is appropriate when you're facing the clients. We are not going to mandate this. And you would have thought that managers would be, hey, great, man, you know, we're being trusted to make these decisions. We wear what we feel comfortable with. You know, I think this is professional. They did not like it at all, right? They hated it. They were like, oh, you know, is jeans okay? Or should I wear this? Is salwar? You know, should be Indian dress. They were like thinking, what should I wear? And they were actually angry with senior management. It's like, you know, how am I not supposed to know, right? Now, like, if I wear this, they're going to say this. If I don't wear this, then I'm like thinking, and they were in confusion about what is the right thing to wear because they didn't want to make a mistake. And it was almost like they thought it was a trick. Or you tell me I can wear, but then you'll say I'm not supposed to wear that. You know, that's how they were so suspicious, so scared of just deciding what to wear. But that's you know, it's an illustrative of the way they look at decisions, which is I cannot make a mistake, right? And so a lot of their focus is on KPIs, right? And I'll tell you some of the mistakes that they make in terms of their mindset when they're going into looking from jobs, right? The first thing is they'll go to HR managers and they'll say, tell me what my role is, right? What is that role you've got for me? And that is a terrible question, because when you're saying tell me my role or tell me what I'm going to be measured on, you're effectively saying you tell me what I'm supposed to do or what I should do. What are the expectations people have, and other people are now defining what you're going to do. And so people are always arguing, say, look, I like this, but I don't like that. I want a role that allows me to do this, but I don't want a role. And they want to define it some way so it's clear for them what is expected. Because if I'm not sure what is expected, then people are going to get upset, right? And it's a terrible question to say, what is my role? The actual question a leader would be asking is, what are we trying to achieve? You know, what is the problem? What is the business problem we're trying to solve, or what is the consumer need? What is the problem? We will figure out what we need to do to make that happen, and over a period of time, you know, I'll find a conversation with people, so you do that, I'll do this, but it doesn't need to start from the definition of the role. It starts from the definition of what are they trying to create, what is the objective. And so when you're in a new negotiation for a job, if you're saying what is my role, you're thinking like a manager, and people will treat you like a manager. The second thing they'll do is once they start the job, the obsession is like, oh, you know what, I haven't been given clarity with my boss. It's very unstructured, it's ambiguous, nobody's telling me that this is what my boss is not speaking to me frequently, he's very busy, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Again, you're waiting for instructions from somewhere else. You're thinking like a manager. A leader will say, hey, you know, this is what I think is required. These are the metrics or targets that we need to chase. Boss, you know, this is what I would like to be measured. They almost go, and they're the ones who define the metrics, the KPIs that they think should be measured on, and they'll say, this is what's really important. And the boss will look at that and hopefully say, okay, yeah, that makes sense, go for it, because they don't have time to spoon feed you. So if you're a manager, people are looking for clarity. As a leader, you are providing clarity, and so it's a very difference when you're making that transition. The third thing is, people will want continuous feedback, you know, which is not a bad thing, but it's almost like, yeah, he did not tell me his expectations, now he's given me a low rating, why did he not tell me earlier? Instead of saying, well, I wasn't having proactive conversations saying, what are we doing, are we on track, this is what I'm doing, there's no sense of creation. It's about, I want to follow the orders, and if I follow the orders, then you should say, oh, here's the promotion. And they're looking for guarantees. Even what's happening is, when they're doing this following of expectations, doing what they think other people want, they get very bored, right? Because then it's like every month is about, I have to achieve the sales target, or I have to kind of like, you know, meet this financial cost reduction, etc. If you're thinking that way, then you're obsessed with the KPI. It's not like as a sales manager, my job is to achieve my sales targets. That's a manager's job. A leader is, how do I move from a push sales system to a pull system, you know, or how do I integrate technology in the way we're doing our digital marketing? They're thinking at a much more different level. It's not about the KPIs, it's what are we trying to create, not what are we trying to maintain. And because they're just focused on the daily pressure to meet the KPIs instead of what am I creating, it's a boring and pressured job, and very soon they get bored. And so the next question they start asking HR is, when is my next move? Like, is it 6 months? Why is it not 6 months? 9 months? Oh, 9 months, I can't wait. And again, because they think I have to have this job, then this role, that is what's going to get me up, rather than this is what I'm creating in this role. This is my legacy. This is what I'm creating. So, you know, as a sales manager, whether I'm getting promoted in 6 months or 9 months, it's irrelevant. It's like, what is the legacy I want to leave in this system when I move to the next thing? And, you know, if I want to leave a really big legacy, well, I need to stay another 2 years to really make this transition. But instead of thinking, what is the legacy, they're like, how much time before the next move? Because they're not creating, they're just doing what they're supposed to. They get bored. And then again, when they're not getting promoted, right, then they'll come to the coach and say, hey, you know what, I think I need to work on. I think I need to work on my, you know, ability to promote myself, or my presentation skills. And they really think that, oh, the reason I'm not getting promoted is because other people are presenting their achievements, and I feel like I'm doing all these achievements, but nobody's promoting me. Why is that happening? And it's like, hey, you're looking at saying, I didn't make a mistake, so why am I not getting promoted? I was given these KPIs, and I've been doing that. Like, I've been like not making mistakes. Why am I not getting promoted? It's because you're not creating value. And like, you know, when people are really creating value, people see it and say, hey, that guy, they're creating a buzz. The rest of you are invisible. You may be doing your targets. You may not be making mistakes, but now you're not going up to people and say, hey, you know what, this is what I think is possible in this business. And so I think one of the big distinctions about how managers manage their careers, they do what they should do. And they're like, I'm doing what I should do, why am I not being promoted? And the leaders are saying, this is what I could do. Right? And that's a very different mindset, and that's what gets spotted. And then they get really frustrated after they're not getting promoted, even after talking about, you know, I promoted myself, did this. And it's really not about perception management. It's like, you know, Boli said, it's managing your relationships with the stakeholders, moving sideways. There's a whole bunch of stuff they need to do, but when they're not doing it, they think it's because they're not promoting themselves. And people who are getting promoted is not because they're creating value, it's just they're showing off. That's how they kind of justify it to themselves. And when they don't get promoted, then they get bitter. They're like, I refuse to play office politics. That person got promoted because they're playing office politics. And what does office politics really mean? Office politics means that that guy knows this guy, and he's had experience of this guy's work, and he trusts that experience that he's had with that guy, and he's saying, I'm going to promote this guy because I know him, I've seen his work, I can trust it. When somebody does that to me, I'm like, hey, I found a mentor who believes in me, what a great guy. But when it happens with somebody else, it's they played office politics, and I refuse to play office politics because I'm a good guy, and they're a bad guy, and that's why I'm not getting promoted. And it's really whiny, right? And so if you find yourself talking about improving your promotion, self-promotion, or the office politics, you're missing out that you haven't created the relationship with the stakeholders because you're not creating, you're just trying to avoid mistakes. So I think the first thing I would say is that you need to move, if you want to move from manager to leadership, is move out of the maintenance and not making mistakes to making decisions and creation. It's a very different way of looking at stuff, right? The second thing I would say, is once you have said, okay, I'm going to create stuff, then you need to create space for yourself where you can do that, right? And that requires pushing back on your bosses, right? What happens is, from that transition between manager and leadership, you need to fundamentally change your relationship with the boss. At mid or junior level, what happens is your boss is like the CEO, and you are like the CFO. And the CEO is saying, have you done this? Have you done this? How is that going? They're asking for status updates and delegating work and getting status updates. Well, when you're moving to a leadership position, then that relationship needs to fundamentally change. Your boss needs to become the investor, and you need to become the CEO. So the boss is not saying, have you done this, have you done this, have you done this? You're the one going to your boss saying, hey boss, this is what we need to do. This is what I think is important. This is the finance I need. I need you to give me this resource. I need you to get me a technology guy, or whatever it is, So you're the one coming up with the plan. You're effectively the CEO of your area of responsibility, and your boss may have the go, no-go decision, but they're like the investor. You go and make the plan, make the pitch, and they say yes or no, right? But after that, you're running, and the only job of your boss should be when you go and say, boss, I need this, or this is what I'm going to do, they say, okay, right? If they're following up with you, it means that they don't think you know what you're doing, right? And the thing is, if you are not pushing back on your boss and setting the vision and the direction, they're going to assume that the reason you're not doing that is because you don't know what you're doing. And so then they're going to tell you, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. So you're going to keep on being directed until you push back and say no. And sometimes when your boss says, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, as a manager, you say yes, 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 because if I say no, he's going to think I'm not capable enough, I don't have the ability, that I won't be able to handle it. So you say yes to everything, and what happens is then you're chasing everybody's agenda except the things that you think are really important. The warning sign of manager level thinking is you're not leaving work at 6:30, right? If I'm saying yes to everything, I'm going to stay till 10 because I'm like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm saying yes to everything. I'm working really hard. They will promote me because they're seeing that I'm working till 10 or 9, 11 or whatever it is every day. That's the reason they're going to promote me. They're not, because they're not promoting you for the amount of work. They're not promoting you for not making mistakes. They're really promoting you for creation. And when you're saying yes to something, you're not giving yourself the space to create. So you're giving up in your personal life, family, your health, your hobbies, etc., all to say, okay, but I'm not producing results or creating stuff, but I am working so hard, so promote me. And that doesn't matter beyond a certain level. From individual contributor to manager, it'll work, not from manager to leadership. It's again about creation. So if you're not leaving 6:30, and I know there are leaders who work very, very late, but as a general rule, I found that people who are clear on their priorities, who are willing to say no, and they're willing to push things around, they actually have a much better work life than people who are saying yes to everything. So that's the second point I would say. You need to say no to your boss, and you need to be the expert. When the boss says, hey, you know what, this thing I wanted rolled out in 2 weeks, and say, hey boss, that won't happen, it's going to take 3 weeks. No, I don't want to hear that. It's got to be done in 2 weeks. Now, a manager will say, boss, koshish karte hain. Because if I say no, and even if they do say no, it's like, yeah, boss, if I say yes to 2 weeks, then I'm going to not be able to do it, and then he's going to think this about, and they're thinking all about, if I fail, what is the person going to think about me? That's why they're saying no. A leader will just say no because it's not possible. Boss, it won't work. We have this much. If we do that, people are going to have to work this much. They're going to make mistakes. There's going to be problems. This is the impact on the customers. We shouldn't do it. And then the boss will look and you say, okay. because you're the expert. And if the boss is pushing you, it means they haven't seen you as the expert in your field. A lot of the reason is not because you lack the technical expertise, but it's just because you're not confident enough to say, no, that won't work. I'm the expert. Back off. This is my field. When you show that kind of pushback and confidence in your ability, people actually respect you more. The belief that a lot of people, managers have, if I say no to my boss, they're going to think I'm a loser, that I can't do the work. Actually, they are alpha males usually, alpha females if there's a, right? And they're used to people asserting themselves. If somebody doesn't, then they think they don't know what they're doing. If they do, they say, okay, the person knows, and then they step back, but they won't do it until you push back first, right? And that's a risk you have to take. Also, they won't be used to it initially, so when the first time you do it, they'll just go back to their normal thing of pushing you back. So you really got to believe in yourself, and only then do people say, hey, that guy really knows what he's doing, we need to put him in that role. So that's the second thing I would say, push back on your boss. The third thing is, with respect to your subordinates, you really got to let go, you know. So it's very clear that when you're a manager, you don't do the job yourself. A lot of people, because they were such good individual contributors, that's why they promoted to manager jobs. When they see their subordinate not doing it as well as they would have done it, they kind of say, okay, let me do it. You know, if I don't do it, you're going to make a mistake. My boss is going to look at me. He's going to say, Kanishka, you made a mistake, and I don't want that, so let me do it myself. You know, and that's what managers in the first year or so of their jobs they end up doing, taking back. That's clearly another role. In the second year, they say, okay, you know what? It's not my job to do it. My job is to kind of like give the tasks and kind of shout at people who don't do it. Right? So it's follow-up that they do in the second year of manager. Again, that's not the job. Because if you're following up on your teammate, the question is, why are you following up? Once you've agreed something, either the person delivers, or if they're not going to deliver, they will proactively come back and say, hey, that's not happening. But if I'm following up, it means A, neither do I think they're going to do it, and B, even if they're not going to do it, I don't trust them to come back and tell me proactively. So there's something wrong in the culture that I've created. Your job as a manager is not to follow up, right? That's a very inexperienced, or definitely not as a leader to follow up, let me say that. Then people think, okay, you know what, then my job, if it's not to follow up, is to motivate or scold people if they're not delivering, right? Or even to coach them. And here I'm going to say something slightly controversial, right? Especially given my role as executive coach. And a lot of the work I do is training, you know, senior managers on how to coach their subordinates. My experience is actually leaders do very little coaching. You know, that's kind of like a myth breaker, because everybody says, oh, you know, great leaders must be great coaches and they develop their people. Actually, that's not been my experience. Right? My experience is what the leaders do is they get the right people, they agree on the outcomes, and then they just step back. They step back and say, you do it, right? They expect the person to do it in the space they're given. When they come back, they either say, thank you, you did a great job, or they hold the person accountable, right? And what does that mean to hold somebody as accountable? It means having a very tough, a direct and clear conversation, saying, hey, listen, you said you would do this, you have not done that. You have not done what you said you would do. This is the impact on the business, this is the consequence, right? What I want to do is have a conversation with you to understand why it did not happen. And when I leave this meeting, I want to understand, A, why it didn't happen, but more importantly, I want to know that you know why it didn't happen. And I want to know that you know what you're going to do to fix it. And I want to know that you know what you're going to do going forward, so that this new target that we have agreed, I am confident working out that you're going to do it, and you're also confident working out. That's the conversation that they have. So it's much more about, here's the thing, you do it, and there's much less follow-up and motivation and scolding and, you know, coaching and long, deep conversations about what's happening, etc. That's not what I've experienced leaders doing. That's a very good skill for a manager to have, but leadership, you need to get the guys and really give the space to them. What stops people again from letting go is because if they make a mistake, it's going to land on me. So I have to like step down one level, and then I'm missing out this chance of creation. So to summarize, let me say the three things. No, one is going, come on. The three things I'm going to say that really is the managers need to do differently in making this transition to leadership. One is they've got to see themselves as the decision maker who can fail and be criticized and is creating stuff rather than following orders and keeping KPIs and not making mistakes and doing what they're told efficiently. That's a transition. The second one is pushing back on your boss. And if you find yourself not leaving at 6:30 p.m., it's a sign that you're not creating things in accordance with your priorities, you're chasing other people's. And the third one is really letting go and empowering your team. And if you find yourself following up or having regular coaching, motivational conversations with your team, you haven't done that. So that's my summary. And now what we will do is we will have a group discussion where we will sit with the panel